We are starting, as we often do, in our creative corner, in our creative space, talking about what may be the final home improvement project of your year. While the weather is good, we say get out and paint that front door. The tricky part for any paint project is the prep, and if you have layers of old paint and want that smooth finish, you might have to use paint stripper. Pat Stika is known as the Handy Grammy. She is here to help us know what to do. Pat, it's great to meet you. Great to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here again.
We are often leery of paint strippers. Should we be?
You probably should be.
Okay, fair. It's a fair caution.
Yeah, it is. You want to wear gloves. You want to wear protective eye gear. Have it ventilated. Do it outside. Not good to have the kids around. So yes, you need to be cautious with it. But having said that, it'll get jobs done that just sandpaper won't. So, and that's why I stripped on my door. There was some detail there that I just felt like with the sander, I couldn't really get in those grooves.
I want to ask you about your door. You recently repainted the front door, and that began with stripping back some of those layers.
Yes, and I knew, I live in an older home, and I've known the previous owners, and so I knew it had been several different colors, that there were many layers of paint on that door. So I thought I would strip it down to get a nice, smooth finish. You know, halfway through, I was not sure that I'd done the right thing. It's a lot of work.
That looks like a lot of work. So walk me through what you did exactly.
Well, first you apply the stripper, and I used this one here. I like this. It's kind of harsh, but it really gets through the multiple layers. And so this, you apply it thick. You let it sit. It'll start to bubble up the paint in 15 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then you're going to scrape it. I used a metal scraper and then also a plastic scraper. Guess I didn't bring my scraper here, but just a plastic scraper that gently lifts the paint up, and then you always have to neutralize it with water when you're done. So the stripper itself will seep into the pores of the wood and cause chemical reaction, so it won't accept paint. So you want to wash it off with water, not a lot of water.
Can I take you back a step? How many applications did you need? I mean, that door was...
I used one, got most of it off, and then used another and got the rest of it off.
Okay, so a combination of product and just elbow grease.
And elbow grease.
Good old-fashioned patience and work. Well,
and you don't have to get it down to the bare wood. You just have to get it nice and smooth. So like on this stool, you can feel how smooth it is, but even the spots that still have a little paint, they're nice and smooth too. So sometimes it doesn't have to get perfectly stripped. It just has to sand to a nice smooth finish.
So it's a touch test more than it is an eye test.
Our hands will help us. You just run your hand over it, and if it feels good, it's going to look good.
You're good. Yeah. You mentioned your favorite. Will you walk me through the paint stripping products available? Well,
these are a couple, these two are both made by this one company, Clean Strip. This is their more green version, and then Citrus Strip is very popular. These two I would suggest for a smaller project, and the odor isn't as bad, and but they tend to be a little more gunky, whereas this one really just cuts right through. So it's more harsh, but I prefer it, and you could definitely wear a mask if you were concerned about odors, but I just do it outside so that I don't really have to worry about the odor.
And then once you've gotten to that smooth finish, you said neutralizing any of these products with water will stop the reaction.
Yes, or you could use mineral spirits. I think this one actually recommends mineral spirits.
Okay.
But this one works well with just water. And then once you've done that, you're going to do a final sand so that it gets to that nice smooth finish that you want, and then you're free to apply primer or paint as you want.
So no other in-between treatment from the paint stripper, neutralize it, you can jump right into primer. And paint. You talked about wearing the gloves and the eyewear and working in a good open area, if not outdoors. You also suggest plastic wrap.
You can use plastic wrap to accelerate the process. Now, I was doing it in summer. It was hot. I didn't have to accelerate the process. It just went real quick. But if you're in a situation where it looks like it's stubborn or not starting to bubble, you can put plastic wrap on there, and it will help that move along quicker.
I want to revisit your door project. I can see a lot of people getting excited about the idea of a freshly painted front door, right, going into the holiday season.
It's a perfect time.
You took it off the hinges. Did you have to remove the hardware?
I did. Initially, I was just working on it as it was hung because it's so much easier to stand up and do it. But then I realized this is a big surface, so I took it off the hinges, I took off all the hardware, and then after a couple days of having a towel cover up my front door, I realized, you know, I have to get this back on.
At some point, I need safety and protection in the form of a door lock.
So I did hang it back up before I painted.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's, you know, you'll see as you go through the process, the steps will kind of reveal themselves to you. But yes, taking off your hardware is a good idea. You could tape around it. And I did at the final step when I was painting, I just taped around the hardware and that worked fine.
Will you talk me through your sanding process, Pat?
I like to use 80 grit, which is the rough sandpaper. You can feel it here. And that's really going to remove material. And then 150 grit is enough to smooth out all the scratches. You don't see the scratches,
I have
but
an
this
aversion
makes
to
scratches.
sandpaper. I'm proud of myself.
You don't
for
want to
touching
touch
that.
it. It's like chocolate.
I wouldn't mind passing on the next touch test if you don't mind.
The 220 is very smooth. It really feels like a fingernail file.
Okay.
So nothing harmful there.
You.
Yeah.
I'll take your
that's
word
what
for
gets you. That's what gets you to this nice.
And that's what
finish.
you want, is that smooth finish. And as you mentioned, you can still have some bits and pieces of the paint as long as it's smooth.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Bottom line opinions, Pat, on the paint stripping process.
I say go for it if it's if you have some detail work like this, it's just too hard to sand in there, really. So the paint stripper is your friend, and my door has some detail work that I wanted to do that. If you have very little of that, just go ahead and sand. Even a quick sand will make your door have the right
consistency.
Yeah, the right ability to pick up the new layer of paint. And that's what you're looking for. You want to make sure that it's gonna that the new paint will adhere easily.
What color did you go with?
I went with this kind of. I like a pink front door. I'm a grandma.
Pretty.
You know, I'm single, so I want
That
things
does look like
pink.
Grandma's happy door.
But I have this really fun terracotta checkerboard on my stoop. And so I brought in terracotta pots, and this new pink, this is my old pink. And this new pink has a little more rose, a little bit of that terracotta. It blends with the terracotta.
You went from
better.
blush to bashful.
There you go.
Didn't you? You steal Magnolia.
Stage.
Oh, Pat, I love it. What
it
a
has
welcoming.
Those peach undertones.
Yes. No, it is. It's warm. It's very warm.
Yeah, it looks great.
Oh, it does look fantastic. All right, you've inspired us. Thank you so much. How can we follow along with more of your creative projects?
I'm the Handy Grammy, so you can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram. And I've just really had a good time with the projects I've done. I've got some more coming up. I'm making this hall tree that is just gonna be something else. I'm so excited.
You're making a hall tree?
I'm making a hall tree.
As in a tree for your hall?
It's gonna literally be a tree for my hall.
Will you come back and show us?
I will. I'd be happy to.
Because I'm very intrigued. I assume with holidays coming up, there's
that's right.
an application. We can't wait to see. Keep us in the loop, Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The Handy Grammy online. Be sure to give her a follow.